everybody. We're here to make some bold predictions for Gamescom. There's lots of rumors swirling about Gamescom, about Switch 2 being announced at Gamescom. We are here to make some bold predictions, but we also want to put some stakes here. What are the stakes? Tell the people.
Well, yeah, like you said, first of all, there's a lot of people thinking, oh, Switch 2 is going to get revealed at Gamescom. We're here to break the news to you that is probably not going to happen. But if we happen to be wrong, we are going to dye our hair pink.
Hot
Yours
pink.
and mine. Even
Hot
my beard.
pink.
Why not?
Hot pink.
Let's do it all.
Yes.
So,
if we are wrong and Switch 2 somehow gets announced at Gamescom, in the next Kit and Krysta podcast, you and I will both have hot pink hair.
Yes, we're days away from this event starting, so we're getting close. But yeah, we have 4 big reasons. And again, we worked at Nintendo for like 30 years combined. So we have a good sense for how the company thinks about these big opportunities, how they operate, how they look at shows like Gamescom. So let's jump into these 4 reasons.
Yeah.
The first reason is that Gamescom is a very big event, but it is not a completely global event, I would say. And anything Nintendo is doing for something on the scope of a new hardware reveal, they want to be able to reach the entirety of the world with that news as loudly as possible. And again, it's a very big show, but I think Gamescom still has the feel of a Europe first show versus we are reaching the world with this show.
Right. And Nintendo certainly feels that way. When we were at the company and we were working with our European counterparts that were doing stuff at Gamescom, and the global teams were working together on, what kinds of announcements or reveals would be there, it was very much seen as a European market focused event, even though there is, ways for the global audience to participate. It certainly wasn't considered a global event from Nintendo's perspective.
Yeah, and it was put in the same category as like a PAX or a Comic-Con where it's like, yeah, it's a big opportunity to reach people in your market. Really, the only event that did meet that criteria of being
E3.
Properly global was E3.
Right.
And now E3's gone. So we are fully in the era of Nintendo Directs or Nintendo manufactured events being the place to do these things.
Exactly.
The next thing, which kind of leads into that point, is there's been a lot being made of like, well, Nintendo's been away from Gamescom for a while, so they must have a good reason to be coming back. We recall many, many years where Nintendo was at Gamescom before the pandemic, and there was a very clear formula, which was, showcase the games that had just come out. If you have fresh builds of games that are coming out in the very near future, show those. Which, again, was very much in line with how at Nintendo of America, we would look at a show like a PAX.
Yeah. And oftentimes we would plan the 2 shows sort of hand in hand, where the U.S. team, the team that we were on, would talk to the European team and say, hey, what are y'all showing at Gamescom? Likely we will show the exact same stuff at PAX West, since the timing of the 2 are pretty close. So I'm suspecting that whatever Nintendo is showing at Nintendo Live, which is their PAX presence, will be very similar to Gamescom. But those shows are very focused on, games that are already out, the here and now. They have some stage shows that they may, include, but those plans certainly do not include new announcements or anything like that.
Exactly. The third point here is a really important one, which is when Nintendo is ready to talk about its next hardware, it is going to want a moment that it can own for its own and not have to contend with other announcements or other companies that are showing games at our events or media that have their minds and time divided among all these other things. They want to say, this day is the day that is about us and nothing else, and everybody will be tuning in to see this big thing and talk about it.
Right. And if you think back to when the Switch was announced, that is a good example. And we are pretty certain that they're going to follow that same formula to announce Switch 2, which is some sort of moment that they can own all their own, something that they don't have to share the attention with anything else. That's why they're not announcing things that, and even at E3, they would, oftentimes pull back. And not announce big hardware news later in the E3 life cycle. And yeah, for Switch, it was very much a moment that was manufactured by Nintendo and owned by Nintendo, and something that they really wanted to spotlight as like, their own thing.
Yeah, you may be wondering, like, well, Nintendo did E3 for all these years. They had announcements at E3. So how is this different? E3 was really a special situation with Nintendo where they had done it for so long. It became very much part of their rhythm of the year. Nintendo is a key member of the ESA who puts on E3. So there was some sort of obligation to be a part of that event. One of the creators of E3, Don James, is an executive at Nintendo. So there's just a lot of entanglements that maybe not everybody knows about why Nintendo had this long-standing relationship with E3 and was such a strong supporter of E3.
Right.
But that's gone now. That's over. So they can truly evaluate these things on their own, and they want to be doing things on their own when they have something of this scope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally.
Last point. The last Nintendo Direct did a great job of outlining the holiday schedule for Nintendo. Mm-hmm. It's a great lineup, very strong lineup. You got a new 2D Mario game and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. They're not going to want to step on that and the opportunity to sell millions of more Switch hardware and millions and millions and millions Switch games by putting this thing out there, by saying, hey, we've got this new thing in the future. That's going to make a lot of people think twice about buying a Switch, about buying those games when they know that there's something around the corner. That was something we were always very careful about at Nintendo. It's like, we announce something now.
Don't cannibalize yourselves.
What are we hurting in the time between when it's announced and when it comes out?
Right. Even with smaller hardware, like when we announced Switch Lite, for example, that was a huge discussion. Like, will this cannibalize the sales of Switch, and how do we make sure that absolutely does not happen? So with a huge new announcement of a brand new hardware, they're going to be very careful about that timing. The other thing that's really revealing after that last Direct, and I think if that Direct had been weaker, we may have a different opinion, but that Direct was so strong with so many great heavy hitting games coming. It's pretty clear what Nintendo is doing for this holiday season. They're really focusing on this expanded audience that they're going to be reaching with these Mario games. With the momentum that they had from the movie and the theme park this year, I think they know that if 1 billion people went to see that movie, there's an opportunity for them to sell to those people, and they're not going to take that opportunity for granted. And so I think this holiday is going to be very much a big one for Nintendo, and they'll probably want to make sure nothing hurts that momentum for them.
Right. This is the dream position to be in. If you have a console, I have a massive install base, and I have all these people with systems who are very actively buying a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yes, the sales curve for Switch is starting to turn down a little bit, but we see this every time they release new sales numbers. Like, Tears of the Kingdom sold almost 20 million copies in 2 months.
Incredible.
Like that's what Super Mario Brothers Wonder is capable of. And this thing, the holiday is where people really go back deep into the back catalog. Like, they're going to be cashing in this holiday season on the years and years of building that install base. So they absolutely do not want to step on that. So I think we both feel very strongly that it's not going to probably happen this year because of that.
No, I don't think it's going to happen this year. It certainly is not happening at Gamescom. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer for Switch 2 to be announced. But like we said at the beginning, we are people of our word. If we are wrong, we will have hot pink hair. So there you go. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you disagree. What are your conspiracy theories about why Switch 2 will be announced at Gamescom? And if you are wrong, will you be dyeing your hair hot pink as well? Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.